Chip, and I really thank you so much for having us here. Yeah. Thank you, my buddy John Kemple, for your friendship over the years, for being here today, for your support, for all you've done for Wilson County. And I know that you're mad at me for taking Wilson County from you right now, but I know we're going to work together, and we're going to make sure that Wilson County continues to do great. And so thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And to all my House colleagues that are here, thank you all for being here. You're my family, you're my friends, and it means a lot to me that y'all are here. And of course, I'm absolutely grateful today as I make this announcement for the unconditional support of my wife, Belinda, my best friend. Belinda and I were high school sweethearts, and we graduated Texas A&M together. We're blessed to have our two young daughters, Cinco and Viva, who couldn't be here today. They wanted to be here, but they said, "Dad, we have school," and they said we better not go. And so I'm really glad that they picked school over this. Yeah, that's great. As a sixth generation South Texas rancher, I picked up my conservative values from my parents and from my grandparents growing up on the ranch, where I worked as a ranch hand, and at our family feed store, where I worked to help my family make ends meet. At a young age, I learned the value of hard work and of self-sufficiency. I learned it from them. I learned the importance of faith and how it must be central to how we live our daily lives. I gained a strong appreciation for the Second Amendment, and I learned just how difficult it is to run a business, especially a cattle business. After my mom and my stepdad died in a car accident at a young age, I had to grow up quickly. I followed in my family's footsteps. I became an ag teacher, and then at age 24, I ran for the legislature, and somehow I won. And since then, I've worked hard to serve the people of South Texas and to try to make a difference in the short time that we have here on earth. Over the years, I've worked to cut taxes, to create jobs, to protect our oil field jobs, to support our troops and our law enforcement, and to secure the border, to defend our property rights, our Second Amendment rights, and to defend the lives of the unborn. Growing up in South Texas, I grew up among Democrats. I ran for office as a Democrat. And just last year, I won re-election as a Democrat by a 17-point margin, while at the same time, President Trump won the district by 13 points. But friends, something is happening in South Texas, and many of us are waking up to the fact that the values of those in Washington, D.C. are not our values, are not the values of most Texans, certainly not the values of South Texas. The ideology of defunding the police, of destroying the oil and gas industry, and of the chaos at our border is disastrous for those of us who live here in South Texas. That's why, after much thought and much prayer with my family, today I'm announcing that I'll proudly be running as a Republican to represent House District 31. After years of voting to protect the Second Amendment, after years of voting to protect the unborn and against tax increases and to secure the border, I now look forward to not having to break with my party in order to do so. In the weeks and months ahead, I look forward to talking to each one of you in this 11-county district about our shared values and to humbly ask for your support. Again, thank you all for being here today. It means the world to me and my wife and my family. I do not do this lightly, but I know that this is the right decision. Thanks again, and God bless y'all.
It's now an honor of mine to introduce the governor of Texas, who he and I, well, two things we share in common. One, after 5 straight losses from the University of Texas, we needed some good news, right? And today really helps with those 5 straight losses. So with that being said, he actually suffered those losses on his birthday, by the way. So, yeah, I know. Oh, I know. But something else we have in common is we are ready, willing, and able to travel to every corner of this state to grow the Republican Party like we're doing today in Floresville, Texas. And it starts with Ryan Gann, and who knows where it ends, right? But this governor right here has gone through maybe the most difficult 2 years any governor has gone through in the history of the state of Texas. And he's made decisions that none of us want to think about making, right? But here he is, strong as ever, and growing the Republican Party. Thank you, Governor Abbott.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Speaker, and I'm here for one primary reason, and that is to say, Ryan Gann, welcome to the Republican Party of Texas. It's great to be back in Wilson County. Many of you here whose faces I cannot see because of the people up front, you will remember that I was here in Wilson County for your Lincoln Day dinner a few months ago. One thing that I know, Wilson County is going to step up and do their part to keep Texas red. As you heard Ryan Gann talking about why it is that he's changing and announcing today that he is a Republican state representative effective today, is because of all of those ideas and values that he articulated. You heard him, and he has always sought to cut property taxes and to cut the stranglehold of red tape and regulations in the state of Texas. He has defended private property rights. He has created more jobs and fought for ideas and values that will lead to that job creation, including jobs in the great paying oil and gas sector in the Lone Star State. Something else that Representative Gann alluded to that we must emphasize today, and that is there is a big political change that's taking place in South Texas. It's a change ushered in part by the far leftist socialistic moves that are being made by Democrats in South Texas. The Democrats no longer represent either the values of the people or the values of the Hispanic community in South Texas. It is time for a Republican to represent the real values of the people of South Texas. You know, if you look at what was announced today, it may seem like it is something that occurred today. But this is something that has been a movement that's taken place for a decade for now, and is something that has been candidly the worst kept secret in the Capitol. Everybody has known that Ryan Gann is really a Republican who is attached to the wrong label. Ryan, we're glad you finally came out of the closet. But I want to show everybody here to let you know the way that things are changing. And so this is an important day, but it's just the latest chapter and the changes that we've seen. It was back in 2012 when we had J.M. Lozano. Where's J.M.? Thought he was going to be here. So we had J.M. Lozano in 2012 announced that he was switching parties from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party. And he has ran as a solid Republican and won as a solid Republican ever since, expanding the Republican footprint in South Texas. We do have with us today, however, we have with us Representative John Lujan. John Lujan first won office in a Democrat district in 2016 to the Texas House of Representatives. He later lost that race, but just a few weeks ago, he won that seat again, a Democrat seat where they voted a Republican back into the Texas House of Representatives. And then we have also Pete Flores. Is Pete with us here today? There he is back there. Come on up here a little bit. Make sure people see you here. So Pete Flores did the exact same thing. It was back in 2018 when Pete Flores first ran for a Senate seat in the state of Texas that, am I correct to say, it had never in Texas history been held by a Republican before you. Is that correct? Since the Civil War, had never been held by a Republican. Pete Flores ran in that seat in the western part of San Antonio. It goes all the way down to the border and has more border mileage than any other state Senate seat in the state of Texas. A Republican, Pete Flores, won that race. He is back on the ballot again this year. He will win it again and turn that seat into a Republican seat here in the Lone Star State. But if you would bear with me, I want to share with you some astonishing details, some astonishing facts that show the shift that we are seeing in South Texas. Because I have with me a list of the 10 biggest Republican swings in blue counties during the time period from 2016 to 2020. So over the past 4 years, there have been massive swings in blue counties across America. These counties I'm talking about are the top 10 counties in the United States of America where you had a massive swing from Democrat to Republican. Number one in the United States of America is Starr County, where there was a 55% point swing in favor of Republicans from 2016 to 2020. Next is Maverick County that had a 45% Republican swing. Next is Jim Hall County with a 39% Republican swing. Then Duval County with a 33% Republican swing. Brooks County with a 32% Republican swing. Webb County, the home of Laredo, with a 28% Republican swing. Zavala County with a 26 Republican swing, and Zavala County was also a county won by President Trump in the last election. And then Willacy County with a 25% Republican swing. Hidalgo County with a 23% Republican swing. So those are the 9 of the top 10 counties in the United States that shifted, on blue counties that shifted with massive Republican gains. I'll dip down to number 12, which was Cameron County, that saw a Republican swing of 19%. The reason for these changes are abundantly clear, and they were articulated by Ryan Ginn earlier. And that's because Democrats no longer represent the values of the Hispanic communities in South Texas. He talked about things such as the idiotic defund the police strategies that the Democrats are trying to impose here in Texas and the United States of America. Republicans support our law enforcement officers, period. Ryan Ginn talked about the value and the importance of oil and gas jobs. They are good paying jobs for so many people in this state, and Republicans will not allow the leftist Democrats to crush the oil and gas industry in Texas and replace it with the Green New Deal. We talked about the chaos that we've seen arise from the open border policies that Democrats, including people like Beto, have been advancing in the state. One thing about Republicans, we support legal immigration into the United States. We do not support lawless and reckless open border policies. We will not tolerate that, and Texas will step up and secure our border. Something else about the Hispanic community, especially in South Texas. We know in the hearts of Hispanics is an entrepreneurial spirit. You see that with Allen in this store right here, but you see it in stores that are owned and operated by Hispanics from here in Wilson County all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley. And that is why you see Hispanics in particular rebelling against this attempt by the Democrats to impose socialism in our state and in our country. Texas is the quintessential entrepreneurial state. Texas is #1 in the United States for doing business. And we will tell the world what the Democrat socialists will not. And that is, it has been capitalism in Texas and the United States that has lifted more people out of poverty, given more people opportunity than all of the socialistic programs combined, and we will not allow the Democrat socialists to destroy Texas or the United States of America. For the past 10 years, there has been a slogan by the Democrats. A slogan that I will submit to you has turned out to be true. The Democrats have sworn every election cycle that demographics are destiny. And what they meant by that is the growing Hispanic population in the state of Texas would lead to the destiny of the future of politics in the state. For that much, they are right. However, they were wrong thinking that the demographic change would lead to a benefit for the Democrat Party. They misread the hearts, the souls, the minds, the vision, the desire, and the future sought by the Hispanic community. The values of the Hispanic community are tied and closely connected to the Republican Party, not the Democrat Party, and the future of the state of Texas will be that Republican Party with a growing number of Hispanics joining the Republican Party. The people of South Texas, they deserve people in the state capitol who will represent their values. Ryan Guillen represents their values, and that is exactly why he was correct to today announce he is a member of the Republican Party of Texas. Thank you all. God bless you all, and God bless the great state of Texas.
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate you being here and this wonderful remarks. I want to remind the audience as well that in 2011, we had two other folks switch parties, Mr. Pena and Mr. Ritter, my predecessor, and Alan Ritter was my predecessor. I represent a border community too. It just happens to be Louisiana. They're a different country. They speak a different language. They have different laws. But truthfully, I was the first non-incumbent to win House District 21 since Reconstruction as well. And now that district is over 80% Republican. So it's happening across the state of Texas. We're seeing communities embrace conservative values and the Republican Party. And Mr. Lujan will be sworn in tomorrow at noon, the new representative from Bexar County who flipped the seat and will keep that seat as long as he wants it, as long as his wife lets him have it. At least that's the rule in my house. And we're not going to cede any ground to the Democratic Party. The gains we made today and tomorrow, we're going to keep them. And we are going to grow this caucus. We're going to grow this majority. And Ryan Guillen's re-election is my #1 priority. This is important as non-re-election. So he will be back representing Wilson County and the rest of his district for as long as his wife lets him do it. So thank you all for being here. I want to welcome Ryan Guillen to the Republican Party one more time. Let's give him a big round of applause and his family. No one's ever chanted my name. That's a good start. And he even has signs there. I haven't even got my signs printed up. I need to get on that. With that, I'll take a few questions. I think ideally we start with the Wilson Daily News. Wilson Daily News here. The question? Or not? All right, Mr. Spitek.
Yeah, question for Representative Ian.
Sure.
Can you just talk a little more about the role redistricting played in this? Obviously, your critics today are going to say you're just doing this because the district got much more Republicans, even though you did outperform Trump, so overwhelmingly last cycle. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, exactly. I won re-election as a Democrat in 2020 by 17 points. At the same time, Trump won by 13. And so I think that's indicative of the fact that what we're doing here is doing what is aligned with our values. Obviously, the values that I hold dear, that I've always held dear, align better with the Republican Party, and that's what we're doing here.
And Patrick, I'll add to that. I discussed this with Ron months ago, as soon as session was over early this summer. Before census numbers came out, before we had any idea what the districts would look like, we discussed this, and people have been working on Ryan for several years. It's the worst kept secret in Austin that folks have been trying to get Ryan to come over to the Republican Party. So I don't think redistricting had as much to do with it as many may think. Yes, sir.
Again, you said that there's a shift going on in South Texas. How long has this been going on? How quickly has it been sped up in recent years?
It's been going on for a while. I mean, if you look at trends over the last 10 years or so, 10, 12 years, you can see a direct trend. But of course, it got a lot more sped up in the last couple of years.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you gave the Wilson County News a bit of a promotion when I was Wilson Daily, Wilson County.
Okay.
And we do welcome you all here, including Representative Dean and the governor, and thank you for coming to Floresville.
You got it. I'll remind you that Ronald Reagan, Phil Graham, and Rick Perry all switched parties at one point in their career, and they did pretty well. So Ron's in good company. So thank y'all for welcoming.
Mr. Speaker, a question for Ryan, then one for you, Ryan. This is from Steve Kevin. GOP dominates the leadership in Texas, including the governor, the House, and the Senate. Do you feel that being in the majority, being part of the party which controls the purse strings in particular, that you can now bring home resources and funding back to your border constituencies?
Of course, of course. No question about it. I think there's a big saying that if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu, and I think this helps me be at the table.
Mr. Speaker, as a follow-up to that, the obvious segue, in the 80th Texas legislative session, Ryan was the vice chair of appropriations. That's the talk. Would you agree to his constituents here today that you would make him, return him the vice chair of appropriations?
It's an excellent question and a highly illegal question, so I cannot promise any of that, but let me just say that Ron's always been productive for his district. No matter what community he's represented, he's always been productive, regardless of the party he's been a part of. He's well respected on both sides of the aisle. Again, he's a bill-passing machine. And I can't tell you how many times I laid out a bill by Ryan Gein today on this session on the House floor. Maybe do one today. We're not even in session. Maybe lay out a few bills today. But that's how productive he is. So regardless of the party he's been associated with for the last 2 decades, he's been impactful and effective, and he will continue to do so. Last question. Yes, ma'am.
Governor, we did want to hear your thoughts on the announcement this morning from Beto O'Rourke.
You know, we talked earlier about the values the Texans share. And if you look at issue after issue after issue that Beto campaigned on for the presidency of the United States, they weren't just at odds with Texans. They were hostile to Texans. He wants to go, take your guns and deny you your Second Amendment rights. We will not let that happen in the state of Texas. He stands for these open border policies that have led to nothing but chaos. If Beto were to be elected governor in the state of Texas, there would be no one standing up securing our border like what I'm doing every single day. If you look at the very meaningful oil and gas jobs that put food on the table, that help families pay their bills and provide a better life for those families, Beto wants to kill those oil and gas jobs and put them out of business, denying a paycheck for tens of thousands of Texas families. But worst of all, very profoundly, during his campaign for the presidency, he showed that he really was not so much a Democrat as he was a socialist. He is a part of the Ocasio-Cortez wing of the Democrat Party, and that is hostile to the state of Texas. I welcome the challenge. I look forward to working with the people of Wilson County to make sure Texas remains a Republican-led state.
I think in short, he said, Mr. O'Rourke can come and take it. Is that right? Alan, thank you again for having us and your hospitality. Thank you, Wilson County, for opening your arms to us. Thank you so much for all being here. Again, Mr. Gee and his family, we welcome you with open arms, the Republican Party. With that, y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Thank you.
And we can provide it. We have funding.
Of course, yeah. All we need to know is
Dying to meet you.
how you doing? What's your name? Daniel? Are y'all brother and sister? Yeah, what's your name? Grace? Good to meet you, Grace. Is this your sister right here? What's your name? Laura? Good to meet all of you all. Is he your brother also? Yeah. Hey, old man, you guys want to do a quick picture right here? Here we go. Come right on over here. Of course I can. Sharpen. Maybe a little bit better. I'm going to return this to you. You want me to sign there? Here. Thank you to sign.
Carter Thomas, long-time resident of Wilson County. Wilson County is now your largest county, by far. 25,000 votes last time, and Star had 17. And all the others had below 5. So we are going to probably be part of your strength.
I have a wide load sign.
That's what we want. Bye-bye. Y'all take care.
Now, the little reporter that was from Greg Abbott, but I don't know.
Governor, we're the group in Floresville that's supporting you the hardest. This is Mary Helen Hickman.
How you doing?
This is Lena.
Good to see you.
I'd
be honored to.
We're your team in Wilson County.
We appreciate it. We got-
Your door-to-door, your calls,
Got the
everything.
A-team.
Because
We're backing you all
Thank
the
y'all
way.
for that. Well, thank you guys very much.
Elizabeth can take it.
Of course you can. I'll take it from this side. One right here. Get to it. Thank you. We'll make it. It's not, I'll take it from this side. Here, we'll do this one real quick, then we'll do you guys.
I don't know why it's got.
Which one is your phone?
What do you want to do for?
Yeah, good. How you doing? Open it up.
Excellent, man. Carry on. I'm just here.
Exactly.
He's parking right here. I think he's in the car.
I see how you
That's what it's like.
steal some of this. It's my hand. If that's.
Want to get a cup of coffee anyways? He wanted to move our fence in and take about 3 acres from us. I said, I'll make sure to sign. I said,
Oh, I have
Gonna hope that that works.
this one, this one, what,
Because this is going to be a better live shot. You what?
Yeah, we're gonna hope that that works because
What word?
my XLR cable is only like 4 feet and I was more than 4 feet.
If someone could look it for us, that would be great information. I don't think we'll have time to import it. I almost fell out of the chair when I lifted my hand. I was like, you're kicking me.
I think that's why they call it.
He had made a motion because that other guy got his toothbrush. And I was like, you don't understand. I will literally wait here until now. You can take out the cable though if you want.
They'll allow you.
Yeah.
What time is it?
10:40. We go live at 11 and then have to record a look live for 11:30. Or we can record the look live now since they're rolling on us. You just have to call Yuli.
Okay. I'll just roll on it on my camera. Oh,
I would go.
Hold on. They are blowing my phone up
What's wrong?
about the stupid crash from last night.
My mic is on, by the way.
How does email work?
Okay, I'll call Yuli because we got to get this done quickly. Do you have Jesus' number? Because we have to do this, and I got to run back and go get my IFB. Otherwise, you'll have to listen to show and cue at the same time, and that would just be a lot at once. our look live for 11:30 and for noon? Or for 11:30 and 12:30, I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I have no, wait, what? Hey, I lost the call. What were you talking about? Yeah. I was asking if you can roll on us for the 11:30 and the 12:30 look live. I'm so sorry. I can barely hear you. Place we're in is really loud. I can't hear you. What'd you say? I'm sorry? Oh, we're good to record? Okay, cool. This is for 11:30 and 12:30, and then we'll be live at 11 and noon. Okay, so it'll be same script, and if it's a different soundbite, then they'll have that picked out, I assume. Thanks.
Are you going to walk in?
Nope, we're staying right here. All right, you ready, Freddie?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Just minutes after Beto's official Twitter announcement, he sat down with us and talked about what his campaign is going to focus on, namely 3 things: jobs, 3, 2, 1. Just minutes after the official Twitter announcement, Beto actually sat down and did an interview with me, telling me that his campaign is going to focus on 3 things in particular. That's going to be jobs, education, and expanding Medicaid. I messed it up again, I'm sorry. 3, 2, 1. Just minutes after the official Twitter announcement, Beto sat down for an interview with me and says that he is focusing on 3 things in particular when it comes to his campaign. That's jobs, education, and expanding Medicaid. He also denounced several of Governor Greg Abbott's current laws that went into place earlier this year, including those that impact transgender students, abortion, as well as permitless gun carry. Now, this morning's announcement ends months of speculation. He has previously run against U.S. Senator Ted Cruz in 2018 and for president in the past election. We interviewed him about 15 minutes after his official announcement. I want you to take a listen to what he had to say. 3, 2, 1. We did just wrap up talking with Governor Greg Abbott here in Floresville. Now, we asked the governor what he thought about Beto throwing his hat in the ring, and he had some strong words for the candidate. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The gubernatorial election is not until November of next year, so a lot will happen between now and then. We'll be sure to keep you updated both on air and online. And coming up later tonight, we will hear more from Beto and from Governor Abbott about today's big announcement. Reporting in Floresville, I'm Amanda Henderson. Okay, that was it. I hate that your sitting height is my standing height.
they didn't say anything. They didn't even tell me because 2 of got sick. They got the road. They didn't tell me anything. You need to get the or vaccination card. You don't tell me someone got sick. That was 2 years. All right, man. Good luck.
Take it easy.
Yeah, can you hear me? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Mic check 1 2 3 4. Thank you. All right, we're going to be going in a few minutes. Less than 2 minutes from show. We are leading. All right, we are about a minute out. 1 minute.
So.
Live.